Good morning, dear listener. You are tuned into VOC, the Voice of Churchill YouTube channel. Welcome to our morning devotion. This morning, we are blessed to have Pst Churchill, who will be taking us through part 2 of the series on the topic, Understanding Temptations. Welcome, Pst Churchill.
Dear listener, have you noticed that images of the devil or evil are very ugly, terrifying with horns, tails, and black in color? But that images of Jesus or goodness depict some handsome, slender, bearded, well-groomed white man? So we ask, is Satan a black man and Jesus a white man? Maybe or maybe not. In the first presentation of this subject matter, we defined temptation as effort to corrupt one's mind, doubting God's commandment, misrepresentation of facts, exploitation of one's deficiencies, and suggestion to do sin. Today, I'd like for us to unpack the tempter. Who is he? In our context of meditation, we need to ask, who is the tempter? We go back to our text, Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Part of it reads, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made." The tempter is introduced as the serpent. I tried to gather a little more information about this creature from ebible.go, and I gathered that he was a beast. He was created by God. He was a serpent. He had power of speech. He had reasoning powers. He had deceptive powers. He had knowledge of God's plan. He walked upright before the fall. From that information, dear listener, we gather that the serpent was a real creature and not an imaginary being, and it seems was very friendly. He doesn't appear to be that scaring creature as we always portray. It is suggested that he was a nice creature before the fall. It is different from our current times, where whenever you sight any huge snake, even if just in a film, it leaves you with a hair-raising, terrifying, frightening, petrifying, or alarming experience. If it was so at that time, I am sure Eve would have screamed at the top of her voice, and she would not engage him in a conversation without an active participation of Adam. I therefore submit that the tempter was a friendly and ordinary creature and not a terrifying, extraordinary creature. Then there is something else about this tempter. He is described as more crafty. This means that he was skilled in deception. In other words, he was cunning, scheming, sly, devious, designing, sharp calculating, tricky, shrewd, deceitful, artful, and the list can continue. For me, I can say that the serpent had an advanced capacity to confuse human mind. He was not some primitive creature. He was well informed. The Bible agrees with this submission as follows. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 13, it reads, "Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light." Dear listener, when we think of con men and con women, they don't normally carry dangerous weapons. Their weapons are smartness and sweet talking. They appear to be very genuine, ordinary and friendly people. In some exceptional cases, they sedate their victim's mind using some chemicals. But in their normal operations, they sedate their target's mind using sweet, convincing words and illustrations. I was just looking at the case of Samson and Delilah. Samson was famed from his great strength. Delilah is described as a seductive and treacherous woman. It is said that her name means delicate. Ironically, it is Samson who is presented as an extraordinary man, but Delilah is just presented as a very ordinary woman. Note that she did not use any weapon, not even a stick, to scare or threaten Samson to give her the information she wanted from him. She simply used the power of the tongue. And there she is with the information that Samson himself gladly released to her. People jokingly say, "Do this and that," and you'll even be given the punk personal identification number or PIN. Dear listener, has that ever happened to you? Back to where we began. When we consider all these things, and without any prejudice, just wondering which picture accurately depicts the tempter, a picture of a black man or a white man. Please note that this is just for the purpose of our understanding of the subject of temptations. It is not meant to promote superiority or inferiority of the races. A summary of the tempter then, say, it's a real and ordinary. 2, friendly. 3, crafty. And 4, having the power of the tongue. Dear listener, I hope that you have again got a little more understanding of temptations from today's presentation. Many thanks for tuning in to Voice of Churchill. Blessed day.
Dear listener, we've come to the end of part 2 of our devotion this morning. Be sure to tune in again for part 3 of a continuation of this series. Thank you for tuning in. May God bless you as you go about your daily routine.